You checked your account balance again this morning. Still the same number. You've been working for 2 years and somehow you're not further along. You make decent money, you're not blowing it on stupid stuff, but every month ends the same way, just a little short of where you thought you'd be. You told yourself $10,000 by the end of the year. That felt real, that felt close. Then something came up. It always comes up. And the number reset like a video game you can't get past the first level of. The math should work. You've done it on your phone at midnight. If you put away this much every month, you'd hit it in this many months. Clean, simple. Except it never goes that clean. Your friends aren't talking about it. Nobody posts about being stuck. You scroll past people buying houses, taking trips, talking about their portfolio like it's just something everyone has. Meanwhile, you're trying to get to 10 grand and it feels like the finish line keeps moving. That's not bad luck. That's not a spending problem. That's not even really about money, or at least not in the way you think. 85% of people who try to save their first $10,000 don't make it in the first attempt. Most quit before month 4. The ones who do make it aren't making more money than you, not by much. Something else is different about what they did. This video is about that difference. My name is Dobers, and today we're talking about the first $10,000. Not because it's a magic number, because of what building it actually does to you. Most people treat it like a savings goal. It's not. It's the point where you find out if your habits can hold under pressure. The problem isn't discipline. You have discipline in other areas. The problem is that nobody told you what you're actually up against. Everyone talks about saving more. Nobody talks about why the first chunk is the one that breaks people. $10,000 is the threshold where money starts working differently. Below it, you're always one expense away from zero. Above it, you have options. That gap changes how you see the next 6 months of your life. It changes what you're willing to say no to. By the end of this, you'll know exactly why most people stall out. You'll know what the math actually looks like. And you'll have a specific path to get there that doesn't require you to be perfect, just consistent in the right places. Here's what most people believe when they first try to save $10,000. They think the problem is the number. They think if they just cut back enough or earn a little more, the money will stack up. That logic feels completely reasonable, and it works, right up until it doesn't. Cutting expenses is real, it matters, but treating it like the whole answer sets you up to quit. You trim the budget down to nothing, you feel deprived, and then one hard week undoes 2 months of progress. Most people have been through that cycle at least once. The deeper belief is that saving is about willpower, that people who have money just want it more, that if you were more disciplined, you'd already be there. That belief is genuinely dangerous because it turns every setback into a character flaw. When you miss a savings target, you don't think, my system failed, you think, I failed. Then you feel bad. Then you spend a little because spending feels like relief. Then you're further behind than when you started. The myth isn't that cutting expenses doesn't work. It does. The myth is that grinding harder on a broken approach will eventually fix it. It won't. The people who hit $10,000 aren't more disciplined than you. They just stopped relying on discipline to do all the work. Discipline runs out. It's not a personality trait, it's a fuel tank. And the way most people structure their savings empties that tank fast. The goal isn't to want it more. The goal is to build something that doesn't require you to want it every single day. That's a structure problem, not a motivation problem. And structure is something you can actually change. Say you're 24 and making $42,000 a year. You save when there's money left at the end of the month. Some months that's $200. Some months it's nothing. 18 months later, you have almost nothing to show for it. Now flip it. Same age, same income. You automate whatever you can spare before you touch your paycheck. Maybe that's $50 at first. That's fine. The amount isn't the point. The habit is. As your income grows, the amount grows with it. And if that money is invested, it's also growing on its own between contributions. You're not just stacking dollars. You're building something that compounds. That's the difference. One approach relies on whatever's left over. The other makes it the first thing that happens, every single time. And here's what changes after you cross $10,000. The money starts generating more money on its own. Not a lot at first, but it's the first time in your life that money has worked for you instead of the other way around. That feeling matters more than the dollar amount, because once you feel it, you don't want to go back. The automation wasn't the hard part. The structure that made it consistent was. Without that structure, discipline has to fill the gap every single month. And that's a losing bet over the long run. Think about where you want to be at 30. Not in a vague way. Actually picture it. You want breathing room. You want to not panic when your car needs work. You want to feel like you're moving forward instead of just staying even. The people who get there aren't special. They just started earlier than they felt ready to. If you don't change the structure, here's what 30 looks like. You're still saving when there's money left. Some months you're proud of yourself. Most months you're frustrated. The balance moves slowly and every emergency resets it. You're not broke, but you're stuck. If you do change it, here's what 30 looks like. You crossed $10,000 somewhere in your mid-20s. That felt like something shifted. You kept going. By 30, you have real options. You can take a career risk you couldn't afford before. You can handle a bad month without it wrecking everything. The gap between those two versions of you isn't income. It's not luck. It's whether you fixed the structure in your mid-20s or kept waiting until it felt easier. It doesn't get easier. Your expenses grow with your income if you let them. The best time to lock in the habit is right now, while your life is still simple enough to do it without it being a major sacrifice. You're watching this. That already puts you ahead of most people your age who aren't thinking about this at all. The place most people get stuck is waiting to feel ready. You tell yourself you'll start saving seriously once the credit card is paid off, or once you get the raise, or once things settle down a little. That feeling of not yet is incredibly convincing because it always comes with a reason that sounds responsible, but things don't settle down. There's always something next in line. The credit card gets paid and the car needs tires. The raise comes and the rent goes up. The timing never clears the way you need it to. And here's the thing about waiting. Every month you wait is a month the habit doesn't form. You're not just losing the money you didn't save, you're losing the version of yourself who saves automatically, who doesn't have to think about it, who doesn't negotiate with themselves every month about whether this is the right time. That version of you is built through repetition, not through waiting for the perfect conditions to start. The not yet feeling also shifts your identity in a way that's hard to notice. When you tell yourself you'll start later, you're quietly confirming that you're someone who starts later. That becomes the story, and stories about ourselves are hard to rewrite once they've been running long enough. Most people who are waiting have been waiting for over a year. They can feel it. They know they should have started already. But starting now means admitting that the waiting cost them something. So instead of starting, they adjust the timeline and wait some more. It's easier than facing that the delay was a mistake. Starting now, even with an amount that feels embarrassingly small, breaks that pattern. It changes the story. You stop being someone who's about to start and become someone who already did. The readiness you're waiting for doesn't show up before you start. It shows up after. That's always how it works, with this and with most things that actually matter. Open a high-yield savings account today. Not this week, today. Marcus by Goldman Sachs, SoFi, and Ally all have accounts you can open in under 10 minutes with no minimum balance. This account is not for spending. It is not your emergency fund. It is the one account you do not touch. Once it's open, set up an automatic transfer for whatever you can actually do right now. Not what you wish you could do, what you can do today without it breaking your month. If that's $50, it's $50. The account needs to exist and the transfer needs to be automatic before anything else matters. The transfer has to happen the day after your paycheck hits, not at the end of the month when you see what's left. The second the money lands, a piece of it leaves before your brain registers it as available. That sequencing is everything. It's the difference between saving being the first thing that happens and saving being the thing that happens if everything goes right. Once you've got that running, open a Roth IRA. Fidelity and Charles Schwab both have no minimums to start. Put whatever you can into a target date index fund and automate that contribution the same way you automated the savings. This money is growing while you sleep. The high yield account is your foundation. The Roth is what turns that foundation into something that actually builds over time. Every time your income goes up, adjust the transfer before you adjust your lifestyle. Not after, before. You will not miss money you never see. You will absolutely miss it if you get used to spending it first and then try to pull it back. 3 years from now, you'll either have $10,000 or you'll be in the exact same place wondering why it never happened. The only variable is whether you set up the transfer today or close this video and wait until it feels like the right time. The right time is always right now, and it always has been.